Hi, my name is Amber. Welcome back to my channel, Books and Beaches. So it is time to talk about all of the books that I read in the month of June. So June was an okay reading month for me. I am actually pleased with the amount of books that I read just in comparison to everything that I had going on. I've said in a lot of my videos, I moved in the month of June, and so that kind of took up some of my time right in the middle of the month because I decided to move a little bit before my lease ended. Because I had that ability, and then it just gave me plenty of time to, clean and get everything taken care of, so that by the end of the month here, I was ready to go. So, like I said, I am pleased with the number of books that I read. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, and probably more like 4.5, because one was like a novella, but they were fairly good reads, and I'm also in the middle of several other books, so it wasn't like I wasn't doing a general amount of reading, but it just wasn't like a completion month. But anyways, that is enough of that. Let's jump in and take a look at the books that I did read. So the very first one that I finished in the month of June was actually a short story novella, and I heard about it from Hannah, which I believe her channel is the Teacher TBR. I'll make sure I link her below. I really enjoy watching her. Love another, teacher creator, and I think she's from the South, which I adore too. So she had talked about this short story, and it was People Like Them by Minka Kent. Now, I have read Minka Kent before and really, really enjoyed her. I think Unmissing was one of the books that Lindsay had introduced me to, and I absolutely loved her. I've had some arcs from her before, so just really liked it. So this one was a short story basically of a group of people in a neighborhood going through a dinner party. And each house has one of the each house has a course, and all of these couples are kind of interesting couples, and, a lot of typical drama. It reminds me a lot of, I didn't even watch it, but not the Real Housewives, that housewife show. I can't think of it. I didn't watch it. But anyways, it reminds me of some of those because I've seen some of those clips. And so there's a lot of drama, going on, and eventually, some stuff goes down. Because it's a short story, I don't want to tell you too much, but it was enjoyable. I gave it a 4. I think with a lot of short stories, especially by authors that I really like, I tend to not rave about them 5 stars because I just want more. I feel like you probably could have even developed this one into a longer story just because you could have had so many more background things going on with these people. But it was enjoyable. It was a 4. I think it was part of one of the Amazon collections. I can't be 100% sure, but I have been meaning to go back and read the rest of them. So there was that. Then I picked my book of the month pick for the month of June. Highly, highly anticipated because I had the audiobook through NetGalley, I believe. Yes, through NetGalley. And that was S.A. Cosby's King of Ashes. I absolutely love S.A. Cosby's writing. I love the narrator that they choose to do for his books. I believe all of his audiobooks, or at least the most recent ones that I have picked up, are narrated by Adam Lazaro White. And he just has such a fantastic voice to bring these characters, alive. And this, out of all of the S.A. Cosby books I read, I think all of mine are sitting up here, I would say this probably is close to his darkest one. Now, all of his books veer on, very dark, heavy suspense thrillers. But this one, for sure, it may even be darker than Razorblade Tears, and that's saying a lot. So, premise of this one is we have a man that was called home. He is working in Atlanta, finance something, and he is called home to kind of help out with his family. So his dad is in the hospital in a coma. His dad's been hit. They think, they think that something kind of went down. There's probably, some suspicion behind, why his dad got hit. His sister helps run the family business. They run a crematory, which is part of the reason that I think this book is so dark. And this man's brother also, has had some run-ins with not the greatest people. And so I just want to remember our main character's name. Roman. That's right. I can picture the character and the voice in my head, but names of characters sometime. And so he is stuck trying to figure out how he is going to help his family, continue with the family business, trying to figure out what's going on with his brother, what kind of trouble is his brother in, is his dad going to be okay, et cetera, et cetera. And also in their past, we're getting some glimpses and chapters of like their past when they were younger. Their mom went missing and she's never been found again. So we have this whole tangle of mess and problems. And just like any good S.A. Cosby book, you've got some really bad guys. So this one was so good. Like I said, I highly, highly recommend it on audio, just like any other S.A. Cosby. I think I only have one S.A. Cosby book left to read, and then I will have read him to zero, at least the ones that he's penned on his own. But yes, highly, highly recommend this one. It was like easy 5 stars, but if you are hesitant about how like dark it is, I would maybe look up some trigger warnings. I don't want to put them here because I don't want to spoil anything necessarily. I did one thing, so clearly I gave this one 5 stars, but I did end up giving it right to my dad after I finished it because I know these are the kind of books that he'll like, and my dad isn't like a voracious reader by any means, but he enjoys reading when he has the time. Well, my dad finished this book in 2 days, and that's not how quickly my dad normally reads. So if that tells you anything, I definitely think that's a good way of giving it a review because he never reads that fast. So there's that one. After that, I picked up my in-person book club's book for June, and that was Carly Fortune's One Golden Summer. Now, I really enjoy Carly Fortune's writing. I know people are hit or miss. I think I was just watching Chloe at Always Book this morning talk about how she read her last year's release and she's just like, this might not be for her, but I actually really like them, which I know is surprising because me and romance, not always. But this is, I would guess to say, the companion novel to her very first one, Every Summer After. So in that book we had 2 characters that were like young love and then finding each other again, what all happens with that. The main character in that book, his brother is the main male character in this book, and it's all set in kind of that same area. I actually I think it's a lake in Canada, and now Barry's Bay. So it's in Canada. Our main character here, she comes to the lake with her grandmother. Her grandmother just had surgery, and she figures time spent at the lake in this house that they always used to vacation at would be a great place for her to like relax and recover. I love the grandma in this book. She is adorable. I love her character. Our main character, Alice, kind of annoyed me here and there. She just, I don't know, there was just something about her personality that drove me a little wild. And yes, she was kind of dealing with, I wouldn't necessarily call him a playboy. Why can't I think of his name? Oh, Charlie. And so, but they have kind of a fun, summer fling, and we get to see the characters from Every Summer After in here, and it is just like a good summer read. There, a lot of like boating and summer activities, and someone's gonna catch feelings eventually. So I really liked it. I gave this one a 4.5, only because, like I said, the female main character drove me nuts a little bit, and just not that she felt whiny per se, but I don't know. If you've read it and you know what I'm talking about, let me know in the comments below. But I liked it. It was an enjoyable read. And I think in order to read Carly Fortune to zero, I just need to pick up her last year's release. The summer will be different. So I may end up picking that one up this summer. Those are kind of the books I've been gravitating towards this summer, which is wild. Not that I don't like them, but I've just been picking up a lot of them like that. So, but needless to say, I liked it. After that, I picked up an ARC that I had, and it was funny because I believe Lindsay at Lindsay's Little Library also picked this one up right around the same time, and that was Such Quiet Girls by Noelle Eiley, I believe it is. I have picked up things by her before, and I've really liked them. She kind of writes a lot of, a range of different, suspense thriller type things. This one was based on a group of students are on a bus with this bus driver, and they basically get kidnapped. And the kidnappers are these 2 guys, they're wearing like nylons over their face so you can't tell who it is, and they redirect the bus like as if it's a detour, and they end up taking these kids hostage. And the unique thing about this book is we got perspectives from several different people. So we got perspectives from one of the kidnappers, we got a perspective of the bus driver, and we got perspective of one of the kids. She was actually the oldest kid. She always felt like she shouldn't even be on this after school care bus because I want to say she was 12. And so we were getting, that perspective, or all of those perspectives, which I really liked, because I always enjoy a multi-perspective book, and chapters were short. That was great. One thing that I struggled with is I feel like the 12-year-old perspective was written almost like too old. I spent a lot of time around 12-year-olds, just in the nature of my job. I spend, 180 days of my year at least around middle schoolers. And so there were just things that I was like, I can tell you're not used to writing a character at this age. I remember at one of the beginning of the books, I should have written down the word that she used, but I was like, there is no way a 12-year-old would have used that word. So that threw me out a little bit, just because I do read a lot of YA and I read some middle grade. And so I kind of know what those characters should sound like. Plus I, see them in real life. And then there were just some things, it felt like it was dragging, because once the kidnapping happens, I don't want to spoil too much, but it just felt like, okay, like, why isn't somebody doing more? And I forgot, we actually do get another perspective. We get a perspective of one of the mothers, because she gets a ransom note and what she chooses to do with all of that. So there were just a few things that I was like, gosh, I don't know. Now, have I ever been in that situation? I haven't, but so although I've liked a lot of the different Noelle Eiley books that I have read, this one, I only gave it a 3. It wasn't my favorite by any means, but it also is not going to stop me from picking up other things that she's written, because I know I have liked other things in the past. So, take my excuse me, opinion with a grain of salt. I can't wait to see what Lindsay thought about it. We actually haven't talked since we both finished the book, so I'm hoping in her wrap up we'll hear about her thoughts too. So there's that one. And then the final book that I picked up in the month of June and was able to finish, because like I said, I'm in between a lot of books, was The Tenant by Freida McFadden. Now, I have also seen a lot of people who have, differing feelings about this one. I think I just watched a video. It might be Ashley's Little Library. I'll make sure to link her below. She just did a complete video just about The Tenant by Freida McFadden, and she didn't like it at all, where I really enjoyed it. And so maybe it's because I go into Frida's just kind of expecting them to be these popcorn thriller reads, and so for me, they're just enjoyable. This one, we get a couple different perspectives, which is kind of fun, and they're told not back and forth, but in like chunks. And so we have our male main character, and once again, names, and I read this one on Kindle Unlimited, but we get a lot of his perspective, and he has lost his job. He lives with his fiance, and so they decide, in order to help them, with their mortgage, they're going to take on a tenant. They do a bunch of interviews, and they ultimately settle on this woman named Whitney and let her move in. After Whitney moves in, a lot of weird stuff starts happening, and some really, really gross stuff, like rotten food and just some really random things. I think he's allergic to like something in regular like laundry detergent, and so he starts having allergic reactions, and so you can see the tension that it's putting between him and his fiance, and then the things that he does with this tenant. And so it kind of goes from there, and it's a little bit of a wild ride. I don't want to give too much away because it all starts to connect. But I really liked it. Like I said, in true Freida fashion, she kind of throws a few wrenches in there along the way, and I don't even want to say where they are, because I in no means want to spoil this, but I gave it a 4.5. It's not my favorite Freida by any means, but I go into Freida's just expecting, this kind of twisty, popcorny read. So for me, it was good, but those would be all of the books that I actually finished in the month of June. I am currently in the middle of a few romance books, which is my own fault that none of them got finished, because I kind of was bouncing around. So I still have yet to finish Allie Brady's newest book, and that is The Battle of the Bookstores. I did have an arc of it that I was participating in, this like traveling arc thing, but I needed to send that one on. And I do have a copy of it on my Kindle. So I said, okay, I'll take care of it there. I started, and I'm probably about 60% of the way through Abby Jimenez's new book, which is Say You'll Remember Me. So I need to sit down and just finish that one. And then I also started a different book while I was sitting at the beach one day, and that is Sunny Side Up by Katie Serino, which is a book that I feel like is like partially written about my life because it's a plus size main character trying to find a date to her brother's wedding. So like I said, I probably could have finished one of those in there in June here and then had an additional book that I finished, but why I chose to start all of them, I have no idea. But anyways, let me know what you picked up in the month of June. Is there anything that I should be adding to my TBR list? Or if you have read any of these books, let me know your thoughts below. If you don't have any, fun comments to let us know, let's leave, oh gosh, let's leave like a lake or a boat emoji in honor of Carly Fortune's book that I read this month. So I'll try to find some emojis to put in here for you. But as always, if you like this video, feel free to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.